what was the actual like catalyst that sent him in there in the first place?
Well, he had a heart valve replacement, and he didn't have problems with that. But he had what they call a neck and cervical operation, and that requires them to put a plate in the back of your neck with 8 screws that go into this plate that stabilizes the back of your neck. And he was supposed to be bedridden 4 to 6 weeks. So after you have this cervical neck fusion, you're supposed to be in what they call a vagus brace, and that's just this basically, those foam rubber kind of gimmicks. You're supposed to be in one of those for 2 months, and you're supposed to be taking it easy. And Hogan goes and gets this surgery. There's 8 screws in the back of his neck. They have bone cement and everything in there, and it's a very fragile equation. And what does he do? He's being pushed by his beer company. He's being pushed by his new wrestling federation. And instead of spending 4 to 6 weeks bed rest, he spends 46 hours at home and is already out in Milwaukee and Green Bay and Michigan doing these 3 and 4 hour personal appearances for his beer. And he starts his neck operation doesn't really have an opportunity to fuse and to heal itself because, you're sleeping in hotel bedrooms and you're standing up for Hogan's. One big thing is when he would do an autograph session, he would never sit. He always prided himself on standing because it made him bigger than life. Mm-hmm. He's so it makes you bigger than life rather than just sitting. Mm-hmm. So that was his gimmick. And so he's standing for 3 and 4 hours at a time. And Terry had a huge head. His head probably weighed 40 pounds.
He had a big ass head. Big head, big star.
Yeah. And so had he listened to his doctors and not been on the road, 46 hours after a major operation, he probably would have been in better situation. So
I wonder why he needed that operation in the first place. It's not like he was like very active.
And his family, I've been told by pretty good sources that his family actually argued with him and said, Terry, just live with the pain, because they knew the complication rate of this particular aggressive procedure. They knew.
And he had already had a ton of neck surgeries.
Oh, right? He had a ton of back.
No neck.
Never really with his neck much. So, but his neck.
And they go through the front?
Yeah, they go through the front.
Yeah, he had neck surgery.
He had numbness in his hands.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And
I remember he would tell me all the time, he's like, I can't even feel my fingers.
Right. And so most of his family, from Nick to Brooke to Sky, they were telling him, Terry, just live. You've lived, you're 71 years old. You've lived with having numbness in your fingers. Don't get this neck surgery. Don't get it.
Yeah.
We've talked to the doctors. It's very risky, and you're not going to sit still the way you're supposed to. So don't do it. So he instantaneously now gets off the road, and he has complications with this procedure because he didn't do what they told him to. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of the downward spiral.
And how was that connected with the valve replacement?
I don't know that it was.
Oh, okay.
I don't know that it was. They had to go back in and do a revision on the neck surgery. And you have to understand, now you're under again. And anytime you go in under anesthesia, they make you sign those forms that you could die. I mean, if you just go in for a, colonoscopy, and if they put you under, they're going to make you sign a form because you're at risk of dying.
You used to be the guy that had to go in with him during his surgeries.
I actually, when we were really rolling hard, one of the procedures I went into was in Buffalo. Dr. Rapishi did a half knee on him, and Hogan was so worried because he was such a star, and he was so worried about
taking pictures of his dick when he's
people
asleep.
Taking pictures of his dick that
Could you imagine?
And so I would scrub in. And so you got to understand, in order for a hospital or a doctor to even allow this is mind-boggling, because most hospitals and doctors, you're going to say, hey, I'm going to bring my buddy in with me. They're like, no, motherfucker. No, you're not. But he was Hulk Hogan. People made exceptions for him. So I would scrub in and have to do the 5-minute nail scrub. Meanwhile, I'm just in the corner making sure they're not taking pictures of his dick. I'm not touching the body. I'm not, you know, I'm from here to the door from him, but I'm just making sure that, you know, I did that 3 different times. I don't know that the neck surgery necessarily caused his death. You know, they say he died of a heart attack with the complications of the heart valve. It also was disclosed that he had leukemia.
Oh yeah, that
at the
was
time,
out of left
you know,
field.
which is blood cancer. And Brooke, I've talked to Brooke extensively, and that was news to her, and news to everybody. Nobody knew that he was dealing with that, and people don't even know that he knew it at the time.
I mean, it was certainly obvious that he didn't look well in the last few
when he did
few
that
months
Fox
of his life.
and Friends, he looked really gaunt,
frail.
Yeah, and he you know, he did. And now see, at the RNC though, he looked pretty good.
He did.
Mm-hmm. And then from the RNC to where we ended up, he just had a downward spiral. And I think that's where at the RNC, I don't know if he had his neck hardware done at that time or not, but it seems like the neck hardware complication is what spiraled him down to looking like the way he did on Fox and Friends. Okay. And the other thing is, I think they were working him, literally the expression "working him to death." I think they were working him to death. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was working. He was.
Don't you have enough money though? Like, why? You're how old was he? 80?
You know, he's 71. Because listen, I hate to talk bad about my former friend, but because he's one of the biggest narcissists that you'll ever meet in your entire life. He always had to be on the go. He always had to be the center of attention. There was his family and other good people telling him, Terry, you've won 60 some $million from this sex tape.
Right.
You know, you got $25 million in properties. You got every Plymouth and Mopar and collector car you could ever want. You got 3 memorabilia shops. You got a restaurant and a bar. You got everything you could ever want. More money than you could spend.
So much.
Sleep in, go to the gym, jack your dick. I don't give a
Right.
But
take care of your body,
you don't need to be in Sheboygan, Wisconsin at 4:30 meeting 300 cheeseheads so that they'll buy 10 cases of beer.
Right.
For real.
Like, stop.
I mean, the beer was already in Publix. Like, what more do you need to do, bro?
He had great distribution with his beer.
I've never actually had it. I would like to try it.
Yeah, I haven't had. I heard it's kind of a little thicker Miller Lite is what I heard, but I heard it was pretty good. I don't know what this. I know that right after he died, there was a run on people trying to get it. I don't know if they've restocked. That's a story in itself. He originally had a deal with Anheuser-Busch, and which is owned by what they think InBev now, owned by like a Danish company, and he had a deal with one of the original Bushes. The Bush family still has a lot to do with it, and he had a deal to do a beer, a Hogan type beer with one of the Bushes, and two of the story I've been told, two of the highest ranking people underneath the Bush guy stole Terry away with a better deal, quit Anheuser-Busch, and started the Terry beer, the Hogan beer. Yeah, that's what I was told. Wow. And I think if you research it, you'll find that.